Hey guys, my name's Jonathan Reich. I'm a licensed CPA in the state of Louisiana. And as a licensed CPA, I help people run their business, save money on taxes, find ways to optimize their workflows, stuff like that. I want to welcome you all to the Digital Merchant. So, this is a channel for digital marketing, online businesses, growth strategy, without all the marketing fluff, stuff like that. Today we're going to dive right into today's topic, which is how to fight a credit card chargeback. So I quite literally had this conversation with a client this morning. They're a small mechanic shop. A customer came in and said, "Hey, I'm not really happy with the repairs that you did. You also caused a bunch of other issues. I'm going to do a chargeback on my credit card." And engine repairs, well, in this case, a total engine rebuild, it was like $10,000. And for a small mechanic shop, they don't have it. So I said, fret not. We can work through this and beat the chargeback. I think the customer was just really trying to take the client for a ride, and basically wanted a motor for free at the end of the day. Kind of is what I was picking up. So what exactly is a chargeback? A chargeback is it's when a card holder or credit card holder disputes a transaction directly with the issuing bank. So like if you have a Capital One credit card, for instance, you can go directly into the app, click on the transaction, and then you can say dispute this charge, and it'll do a chargeback. Some disputes are valid. That's going to be things that are related to stolen credit cards. Maybe you lost your card on the street, someone picked it up and went and had a nice Starbucks coffee on you. You can dispute that transaction pretty easily. A product may have never been delivered, the wrong amount may have been processed. Maybe you guys agreed on $10,000 and the merchant charged you $15,000. You can dispute that on the customer side. So, or maybe a customer was billed after canceling a subscription, for instance. All of these are legitimate reasons to do a chargeback as a customer. And they're primarily grouped into four major categories. And that's going to be fraud, authorization issues, a processing error, or a consumer dispute. And that consumer dispute would be the engine that I mentioned earlier today in that car. So errors don't always stem from the merchant, though. They can also come from folks down the line, maybe acquirers, issuers, card holders, anybody in this stream that comes with everything that goes into a credit card transaction. They can find themselves at the beck and call of a chargeback. So what happens? What is a chargeback? How do we beat it? Let's walk through those steps, because if you're watching this, you're probably panicked. You're probably like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to make payroll because a large chargeback has just come through. Kind of like my mechanic shop today. So the customer is going to start by initiating the dispute. The dispute could say, I'm not happy with services rendered. I'm not happy with the amount charged because it was wrong. Something like that. Usually it starts outside of your purview. Usually a customer is not going to come to you and say, hey, I did a chargeback. And they typically do this in lieu of asking for a refund. The customer is going to contact their bank. If the bank validates the complaint, they will basically pull the money out of your merchant account and you receive a chargeback notice. That's all there is to it. That's step one. You'll get the reason code, you'll get the disputed amount, the transaction details, and a deadline to respond with instructions. And that's it. They basically package it up for you pretty nice and tightly. They're going to say, submit all this evidence to us and we'll get back to you. And so the very first thing you should do is identify the deadline and the reason code. Why was the chargeback basically authorized by the customer? Why did the customer say, I need to do a chargeback for whatever reason? And then from there, figure out how long you have to respond. Time is of the essence when it comes to these chargebacks. So the reason code could be things like fraud, product not received, service dispute, cancellation, duplicate billing, things like that. The one that I think most credit card merchants are going to find themselves on the other end of is service dispute. So instead of a customer saying, hey, can I get a refund, or can I get a partial or a credit or something like that, they may just skip that altogether and say, it's a lot easier for me to tap a couple buttons on my phone, and now it's your problem to deal with. The good news is service disputes, if you are doing what you say you're doing, which is maybe you're drop shipping, or maybe you're working on cars, or maybe you're doing this, or maybe you're doing that, as long as you've got good logs, good appointment records, those can be pretty easy to beat. Things like fraud, product not received. Unfortunately, if you are the victim of fraud and someone used a stolen card to pay for something, that's not going to be easy to beat unless you had like the legitimate card holder who made the purchase and they're just trying to get one over on you, I guess you could say. But if you've got things like IP addresses through your merchant account holder, device IDs, CVV matches, things that only the card holder would know, you could potentially beat those. But for today's example, let's talk about service disputes because it's fresh on the mind. So the first thing, now that you've kind of figured out your reason code, that service dispute, and your needed deadline to get the information over to the card issuer, is you have to accept whether you're going to actually fight this or just let it be. If it's a small amount, it may not make a lot of sense to do all this. But if it's a $10,000 dispute, then it may make sense for you to chase this down. So you're going to fight it if service was performed, it's a slam dunk, it's easy to win, you have clean, organized records, and the disputed amount makes sense to chase in terms of administrative effort. Sometimes you just got to take the loss. If you don't have a ton of evidence, if you do think it was legitimate fraud and it just is one of those things that happens, the dollar amount is too small, your internal processes actually did cause the error, for instance, stuff like that, you're just going to have to walk away. That's part of running a business. You're not going to win them all. So now that you've got your reason code, you've decided, hey, I am going to grab this thing by the horns and I am going to fight this. Build your evidence package. So if you're like ecommerce, for instance, that might include things like the order confirmation, billing and shipping information, what do they call that? Tracking number, proof that it was delivered. Typically UPS and FedEx will snap a picture and say, hey, this was delivered to this address. Refund policies, checkout terms, things like that. If you're in subscriptions or software as a service, get the subscription terms, billing schedules, renewal notices, cancellation policies, things like that. Build that evidence packet and then start with what's easiest to get. Okay, do I have them coming in and tapping to pay? Okay, if I do, then my card reader is going to have the information that their card was physically present in my store. Do I show them receiving the product? Yes. Okay. Maybe I've got a picture from a surveillance camera of me handing the product to the customer. Basically, you need to package up everything that you can think of, or everything that the card issuer has asked, and submit it. And you need to submit it for re-presentment. And what that is essentially you're re-presenting the transaction to the issuer, saying, hey, I've got the evidence that this is a waste of everyone's time. I've got the evidence that they authorized the charge, that they received the products or goods, that they received the services, and here's everything that I have to back that up. And so the bank that issued the chargeback is going to take a look at the entire evidence package and say, no, customer, even though that you issued the chargeback, unfortunately the business has submitted everything showing that you really did receive those services, or you really did receive those products, and we're going to reverse the decision to do the chargeback. So the charge hits the cardholder's account, and then your money is either released or given back to you. Typically that happens pretty quickly, but they do have to review. They do have automated processes that do review, but it can take a week or 2 weeks for them to process everything. If the card issuer rejects your response, you do have other options. You can do arbitration, but the stakes really start to rise with that. Additional fees, and there are additional fees, and you have to say, is this really worth my time? So, it's really pretty cut and dry. They're going to tell you exactly what they need, and then it's up to you to provide that to them. If you are doing good accounting, if you have a good ERP in place, it's pretty easy to turn over everything that they've asked for. If you're using a platform like Lucra, for instance, which has built-in chargeback management, it's kind of got like a light ERP for a lot of businesses that can help manage metrics and basically keep you up to date on that. If you're using a platform like that, it becomes a lot less painful. There's less friction there for you to gather all these documents, all this evidence, and then submit it back. Everything should be in one place. But if you're using Square for processing, you're using maybe eHub for logistics management, shipping, stuff like that, and then you're using a different bank and all these systems are disconnected, it can quickly become a headache to fight these chargebacks. So that's why I always recommend when I'm working with a client, for instance, have a processing merchant in place that can kind of keep everything in one umbrella. One place that's going to allow you to push all of these issues, create that documentation package, and then send it right over to the person, to the company that says, hey, we're going to reverse your funds. It becomes a lot less of a headache, essentially. So it's not easy. It's definitely an administrative burden, in my opinion. It's a headache. I do always tell the clients that I work with, hey, reach out to the customer, ask them why they didn't just ask for a refund, so you can kind of improve your business processes, see what was missed. Maybe they just didn't want to talk to you. Maybe they were already upset with you. But it's preferred to have less chargebacks and just work with the customer directly, because once you've gotten to this point, it becomes a headache for everyone. The good news is you can win, you can keep that money, but you just have to do the administrative work before receiving that chargeback. Because if you're just taking cards and you're not keeping up with it, you don't have proof that you delivered the services, you don't have proof that they engaged with you, it becomes a lot harder to show that the charge was legitimate. So anyway, guys, I hope that this helped. I'm your digital merchant. I'm here to help you guys build smarter businesses. If the video helped, make sure to comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next one.